So we got some other stuff going on. And who do we have? Sargon himself. Oh, yeah. So this is the LotusEaters, the podcast of the LotusEaters. The most, this is Sargon's. Surprisingly, I didn't really understand that Sargon was going to have. I didn't realize he could get more smug. And yet, this LotusEaters thing exists. So there it is. So this is Sargon of Akkad. And if you haven't been here before, watching a Sargon video with us, you may be shocked to find out this is not actually Sargon of Akkad. He's not actually in the room with me. This is actually a trash can with a photo of him being fancy on it. But I understand how you could mistake that for the actual Sargon of Akkad. It's very similar. This cost me a lot of money. It was a big undertaking, but it's pretty much like a 1-to-1 approximation of him. So it's good. He might be here and he might scare me a couple times, but we're gonna try not to be spooked by his presence. Even though I didn't invite him into my house and probably wouldn't. But so this is Sargon talking with Milk Boy. If you're not clear on who Milk Boy is, that will become clear very quickly. So Milk Boy and Sargon are talking about why women want sugar daddies. Sugar daddies.
Why women want sugar daddies.
Milk Boy.
This was an article on Unheard by Zoe Strimple, who is a historian of gender and intimacy in modern Britain and a columnist for the Sunday Telegraph, and has written a book about this. And she's got some really interesting things in here that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Before I clear my throat. After I clear my throat. Anyway, so she talks about a young man she had lunch with, and his peers were on Instagram swanning it around Europe, and he was staying in America. And what it was is very attractive women who were swanning it around Europe. And so, they're all his age, either still in college or freshly out of it, as she says. But the reason they, rather than the young man, were able to go yachting off Sardinia while sipping Dom Perignon was because rich older men had hired them to come on a luxury holiday with them.
Cool.
The job, which was to look nice, look hot, be nice, and be ready to accommodate more without crying assault, is called sugaring. So this is essentially being a high-class prostitute.
Okay. Sugar daddy stuff is also a kink, and you can do this whenever you want. This is not a big deal. I can't imagine Sargon of Akkad fucks very often, or is very satisfied. Just look at this. Look at this Milk Boy right here. What is he even thinking right now? Computer enhanced. What is going on with this fucking face? That is a haunted man. That is anyway. So some people like this kind of thing. Now, I'm not a sugar daddy. I'm not rich enough for that shit. Please subscribe. But there's aspects of kink where just like gift giving is part of it and stuff like that. I may engage in some activities in the kink space from time to time. Sarah, pop it in now. You're sugar daddy enough. There you go. See, but this is a different realm. You know what I mean? A cummy daddy. That's more my speed here. The idea of sugar daddy stuff, like, is he gonna be against this? Because I feel like, he's going to be very sad about this. Like, I don't think he's gonna like this, and I think that's interesting. Because isn't like part of like free market capitalism also spending your money on like the ladies? You know what I mean? Or just whoever you're sexually attracted to? Does that make sense? Like if you had millions of dollars and you were into sugar daddy kinks, why wouldn't you do that? Doesn't make any sense. Like, fuck the millionaires and billionaires, but like also, hey, ladies, if you're into that, get your bag, dude. I don't care. And some dudes get it, too. I'm sure lots of NBs get it. Do you think prostitution should be legal in the U.S.? Yeah, 100%. The only argument against like prostitution being decriminalized or legalized anywhere is one from a puritanical, baby-brained, I don't fuck enough to understand this mindset. Yeah, it's little tiny pee-pee energy. Yeah, and not like body shaming. I mean, like your brain pee-pee, just tiny and svelte. Prostitution should be legal and decriminalized for multiple reasons. I think the number one reason is to protect sex workers. I think if you have a regulated sort of situation there where you can, maybe you're in a brothel or something, or however it works out, having regulations to protect your health, protect your legal standing, because you know how like, oh, he killed a hooker, and then they don't even fucking pay attention to it, and they call them hookers. You know what I mean? Like, that's a common trope in fiction and reality. Just the protection, the sexual health, the financial health of prostitutes and everybody else. And also, number two, I don't know if you figured this out, guys. Let me let you on a little secret. People like to fuck. They do like to fuck. Not everybody likes to fuck, and that's okay. But for those that do, they like to. So why not be able to be like, hey, I want to fuck, and they're like, yeah, but I want money. And then you're like, okay, let's do that. That's fine. That's not a big deal to me. Yeah. It's kind of weird to me that women sex workers go to jail more than pimps. It is not weird to me at all. It doesn't make any sense from a logical perspective, but from a social perspective, we villainize promiscuous women in our culture because we're fucking losers.
Sugar daddies or babies might not want to admit it. This is sex work. My friend betrayed no sense of surprise at the arrangement.
It is.
Such things he said, become totally normal in this age group. So there is a privilege here that young women are able to enjoy. Young, attractive women are able to enjoy. So they're at the height of their social power when they're young, and this is being taken advantage of by older men who are...
Is that advantage? I guess I don't feel like if the arrangement is agreed upon ahead of time. Again, Milk Boy is just fucking haunted by the concept of a young woman having sex for money. I have no problem with this at all. I don't know why you would.
Who are buying up this time while young men are forced to go without and have their dating prospects hurt by this opportunity that is only open to the women.
Forced to go without. So wait, he said wait. An opportunity that is only for women. How about you go on a boat and fuck for money then, Carl? Go on your fuck boat. Why are you... Just go do it. What do you mean it's only an opportunity for women? What? No, it's not. Did you know that there's gay rich dudes and bi rich dudes and pan rich dudes? There's also rich ladies that like to fuck. There's people that might just want to watch you fuck other stuff. I don't know. Or not fuck anything. I don't know. There's all sorts of combinations that could work. This is not locked off to just women. It's just that women are better looking. That's my subjective opinion.
Any thoughts on that?
The thought also is, of course, that, you know, jokes aside, it's a man's world. I mean, just men tend to be millionaires more often because of the sort of we're working out of that societally, but obviously, you know, a billionaire dude is going to be more often than a millionaire or billionaire woman. It's equalizing, but you know, we're just going to move forward. So, and obviously, most people are heterosexual, or at least they think they are, and have never thought about it, especially the old guard like that. So, that the opportunities are going to be there. It's so weird for him to say, like, why didn't anyone take me on a fuck boat? Because you're Carl, dude. You're Carl. No one wants to fuck you. No one wants to fuck Milk Boy either.
Probably better for the men.
Well, not really.
Well, they can go out and actually do something with their lives. Like,
Sure,
once these sugar babies are 10 years older.
Well, yeah, exactly.
What they got?
Exactly. But
once these sugar babies are 10 years older, what do they got? Well, they've traveled the world on a fuck boat, and they haven't had to spend any of the money they were paid the entire time on the fuck boat. I feel like 10 years of fuckboat money is a pretty decent head start. What do they got? Also, by the way, are 30-year-old women suddenly, like, not attractive to Milk Boy? Is Milk Boy only attracted to young women? To, like what's the age of consent in the UK? 14 or some shit? Like, 10 years of fuckboat money. Huh.
Anyway, these arrangements are apparently booming, with increasing number of female students in the UK and the US advertising on these websites. Unlike traditional sex work, it's popular among young women at elite institutions. Destined for fine careers, they nonetheless see it as a time-efficient way to offload student debt. As one 22-year-old sugar baby who read PPE at Oxford told me, to get a taste of luxury. In 2019, nearly 1,000 students at Cambridge alone were signed up to Seeking Arrangements, which is apparently a top sugar broking site in the Anglosphere. And according to this annual 2020 report, the number of university students in the UK seeking a sugar daddy or sugar mommy increased 36%. And in total, they have 4 million people signed up to this site.
Oh, wow. Sounds, man. Sounds rough. I guess we should be upset about this. What a fucking puritanical weirdo. Who gives a shit? I thought we were for, like, freedom and stuff. What it's so weird. Why does Carl hate capitalism? Oh. I don't know. I don't want to be attractive to Milk Boy. Thank goodness I'm 32. There you go. There you go. You got to get over that hump. Once you're past 29, you're free from Sargon and Milk Boy. They will no longer have eyes for you.
Most of them being students, with 2.4 million of them being in the...
What is with this furrowed brow? He looks like... he looks like Frodo. Look at this. If I just do this and get rid of the hair... Sam? Sam? Wait, we need to... hold on. We need to give him tears. Now he really looks like Frodo. Sam, we won't make it back.
US alone. So this is big.
Don't do Elijah dirty like that.
This is a generational thing.
Does he need help? I don't know. He's not happy.
So basically, put simply...
You know who does need help? Whoever mixes the audio for the Lotus Eaters. Do you hear that fucking buzz in the background? Why do you have $400 Shure mics, XLR cables, and a fucking Scarlett mixer on your desk and not have some sort of fucking audio like buzz cancel?
The cost of university is turning young women into prostitutes.
You won't be able to not hear it.
Women being 60% of university admissions now.
Put it through a fucking filter, please.
That's not good, is it? There's got to be something wrong with that, inherently.
I thought they were sitting really, really close to each other for a second, but they're not. Is it weird that they both have like stubby arms? I feel like they have short forearms. Chat, do I have short forearms? Or are my forearms normal? Hold on. Do I have normal forearm lengths? I feel like my forearms are not stubby like theirs. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, at least need
Yeah, thanks for the fucking content, Milk Boy. That was great. That was great. What a pause. What a fucking partner there. Yes, anding like a professional.
Of university admissions.
Here we go. Watch this.
Well,
look at this.
So, that's not good, is it? There's got to be something wrong with that, inherently.
Yeah.
This is fucking content. And then Sargon's like, fucking anyway.
Anyway.
I mean, at least the universities are doing something more useful than what they're doing at the moment.
Well, send your daughter to university. She'll be turned into a man-hating feminist who makes herself look weird.
Or a prostitute.
Or she'll be a hooker.
Which one's worse?
Well, she'll no. Well, hang on. Well, let's get into it because these are still feminists who hate men. They're just also hookers at the same time.
So they've got the worst of both worlds.
Yes. So
I don't even know. They're feminists who hate men. Are they? Does that... Is being a sugar baby, does that mean that you hate men? I don't... Okay. Let's okay. He says we're going to get into it.
This is, as you say, this is symbolic of two profound and rather shocking shifts.
Holy
One,
shit.
that dating with all its meaningless and built-in possibility if things go well of an actual relationship, complete with compromise, give and take, and real intimacy, has imploded. And two, that feminism has morphed from a movement with ideals, which envisioned, for instance, a socialist world in which women might be free from sex work, into a hard-nosed, misandric, mercenary pragmatism.
Mercenary pragmatism.
So feminism...
Wait, where they're not even? Are they even? Where are they even at on this article? None of the words that he said are being featured here. What kind of fucking ragtag group is in charge of the Lotus Eaters thing?
has introduced women to the world as purely material, biological working machines, competing against a class of people that they are trained to hate and exploit at the cost of their own sanctity. Right? Someone has habituated these women into this worldview where they will never make an acceptable wife, girlfriend, or mother because they lack the ability to love men.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. There's so much wrong with all that, but do you think that you have to love somebody to fuck them? Is that a thing? I definitely think that, like, being in love with somebody and having sex with them is different and good, but you don't have to. It's not like a prerequisite to like do that. So these people can have casual sugar daddy fuckboat sex. Bad chemistry. Thanks for following. Like, it's not a big deal, and then they can still yes. Did you know that if a woman has sex with multiple people, she could still have sex with other people after that and it not be a big deal? Because we're grown adults and we understand that it's not your business, right? Get the fuck over it. Y'all should watch Ted Lasso. They have about a 4-minute conversation about this and then they never have to talk about it again. You'll become better people. You'll become better people. There's no reason to be upset about anybody who, like... What's this ownership thing? Like, I really don't understand. But her sanctity. What sanctity? You can also love somebody without sleeping with them. That's true. Yeah. There you go. I guess we're only talking about sex, but yeah. So, I don't know. What I will say about the Lotus Eaters podcast, though, is those chairs look comfy. And I would like one. I would like one of those. A high-backed boy like that.
This is what she's saying. Molly says, all the sugar babies I know consider themselves feminists.
Okay.
But it's more misandry than feminism. It's men are scum. Both parties sort of despise each other. Aria, 25, a Cornell graduate currently in law school in DC, has been on seeking arrangements for over 5 years. She too despises her clients, telling me over WhatsApp video from a Balkan city, men are nothing. They're just effing idiots. The hardest thing about being a sugar baby is pretending to give an S what these older men have to say. Older men are so archaic and out of it.
I know why Sargon doesn't like this. I think we figured it out. Freaking out with 50 Bitties. Sargon and some other guy who was boring had this whole thing about women having abs is collapsing society because gender roles, but it was too long. What the fuck? That sounds awful. He thinks he's old? Yeah, Sargon is seeing himself in this.
What an incredibly hateful and mercenary attitude.
What a hateful attitude.
What a world that these people inhabit.
Imagine being in a room with them.
No. For these women.
What? Imagine being in a room with them. Carl goes, no, and then continues to read. I love that. I love how little chemistry there is here. Like, do these two like each other? Is this the relationship that they have? Because I find so much fascination with, and I know I'm like getting away from the content or whatever's happening here, but like I think the interactions between the two of these people, Milk Boy and Sargon, are so goddamn fascinating. Like, is he bound by some sort of like eldritch curse to stay in a room with Sargon and talk about stuff that he clearly doesn't give a shit about? Like, why is he here? Why is he doing content? Like, who's it for?
The sex is the okay bit, the easy bit. Why? Because there's nothing sacred about sex to these women.
What would be sacred about sex? Okay, all right. Can we talk about why sex isn't a sacred thing that you got to worry about? They're so homophobic they can't have any chemistry lest it be sexual. True. Okay, all right. If you like sex a lot, that's great. Okay, I certainly like sex a lot. I'm a big sex liker. Okay, I'm an enjoyer of sex. I've had it a couple times in my life, a few times. You know, maybe recently. Who knows? Who knows? But you missed the bits. Why would you bits? Did I miss your bits? Oh, redistribute Sargon's chair. Jesus Christ. Miku? Save Milk Boy. No, fuck Milk Boy. Known sex enjoyer, actual J. That's true. Total virgin. That's right. So, as a sex enjoyer, sex is sacred thing is not shouldn't exist. It's fine to have moments where sex or physical intimacy or however you enjoy intimacy with another person in a physical way. It doesn't have to be sex, just whatever the height of your intimacy is for you, whatever that is. To call that sacred is like just too much. It's just too much. You can have like really quality time, but it doesn't have to be this like fucking religious experience. It's strange. You just like to sit next to people. That's fine too. I don't know. I don't know if you're joking, but Jake has sex. This is shatter my world. I know, right? I just don't really understand the pedestal we put sex on. Sex is great. I like it. It motivates me to do things. It's fun. It feels good. It's validating. There's lots of things that are good about sex. To call it sacred, though, like, I don't know. To be fair, I don't have many sacred cows in my life. I think safety of my family and their well-being is probably that thing. But like, I don't really understand why we have to make it something else. Like, an orgasm is an orgasm. I don't know. Not that Sargon's ever brought a woman to climax, but
they don't care. It's everywhere. Look at all the media. Look at the way that they're taught. Like, you know, sex work is real work and all this sort of stuff. There's nothing special about sex. They've had dozens of bodies by the time they're this age anyway.
What's
wrong
with
with that?
Great
Point about the sex work is real work.
Is it not real work?
Slogan that gets used by the left all the time.
We'll get into that in a minute.
Well, it just means that sex work is just work.
It's just work. It's just labor like any other.
What? It means that sex work is work. It doesn't mean that sex is always work. Did you know that sex workers fuck on their downtime? Did you know that's a thing? Like when they're not filming, or they're not like maybe they're a full service prostitute, maybe full service sex worker, I guess rather. I guess prostitute is a little bit pejorative, but they've been using it. Like people have sex not for money all the time, even if they have sex for money. This is the thing. Like it's labor. It is. Now it's dope labor. It's fun most of the time, I'm sure. Some people don't have a fun time, and that's what regulation helps, and that's why we should have a climate of sex positivity and stuff like that. But like, do neither of the are we really gonna sit here and say that Carl and mostly Milk Boy have never like watched porn and enjoyed it? Huh.
There's nothing special about it, right? Arya can, quote, have sex with someone without feeling anything towards them.
Get your love as a career and never work. If you love your career, you never work a day in your life. That's right.
I don't even have to like them to have sex with them. Being
Is
a
Carl
sex worker,
fucked? He has kids.
That's nothing. I can always pretend sex is easy. The sentiment, almost down to the word, is echoed among other sugar babies. Mm-hmm. So these women have lost the ability to even see these men as people, right?
Sargon has... he still calls himself a classical liberal, but he definitely says he's a conservative as well.
They can't be loved because they are just mechanistic means to materialist ends.
Okay. Capitalism causes that. You like this is a problem with capitalism, not with women, right? Like what why yeah, materialistic ends. That's the system you like. You like the system that does materialism. That's what it's for. What do you mean? It's a job like any other job. What do you... Oh, what do you think? There's an altruistic, sort of like more holy thing besides it's a materialistic, or it's a what do you say? Hold on, what's the actual term?
Mechanistic means to materialist end.
A mechanistic means to a materialistic end. Do you think working at an Amazon warehouse is anything other than that? Do you think being a chef is anything other than that? You can find fulfillment in these things, but they're also searching for materialistic ends. You know what I mean? It's just capitalism. That's what it is. If you didn't have capitalism, this wouldn't be a thing that you were bitching about. People would have sex for free. And in fact, these people would have less sex. Well, they wouldn't be people, but well, not that they'd be dead, but they wouldn't be yacht-having billionaires.
That's what the men are. These are like literally, okay, I have to perform a function and then I get paid.
Yes, that is a job. How that's what jobs are.
That's all it is.
That's
To be
what
honest,
work
the
is.
Daddies probably see it that way as well.
No, they don't. We'll get
don't?
into that. No, of course not.
I thought they'd be very mercenary about it, being like, my wife's dead, so whatever.
Nope.
My
So
wife.
she says this callous terrain has been
I like their chubby little fingers. They're cute.
was created by 10 years of dating apps and misapplied sex positivity, and seems to have rendered physical intimacy a shiny token whose value lies in shifting the needle of power up and down, while the relationship of sex to things like romance or affection has been cauterized. Increasingly, relationships are seen as exchange mechanisms. And this is what happens when, as an intersectional feminist, you are trained to view the world purely in terms of power dynamics.
What?
Romance, love, affection, relationships themselves, they're all metaphysical things.
No, that's not the case. What? Why does he pretend that? Like, why not just talk to somebody that's on the left for a minute about sex? How about this? Hey, Sargon. Hi, buddy. It's been a bit. Do you want to talk about sex and why you're a fucking weirdo? I would love to. Let's talk about sex and why you're just odd. Not that you have a lot of it, but, like, I do. So one of us can be the expert and the other one can listen. I will be the sex expert, and you can listen to... you can just ask me questions about my opinions on sex from a leftist perspective, and I will illuminate you. There is no shortage of, like, loving, wonderful human beings on the left. Like, it's just so weird that seek love and want love. In fact, I would say a leftist is more likely to engage in loving behavior because a lot of leftists aren't monogamous. Not that monogamy is bad, monogamy is fine, but, like, you're going to be more likely to encounter people that you love. Right? And often in those scenarios that you'll have like a primary partner and a secondary and a third and whatever, but sometimes you have many primaries or all of them are secondary. You know what I mean? It just depends on how you want to live your life and how you want to organize your experience of existence. It's not a big deal. A lot of people find love. Now some people have a hard time, but like it depends on the area you're in, depends on your ability to socialize, depends on your attraction to other people and kind of your own baggage that you have to work with. But, like, I'm telling you, if you're a person that wants to have sex, you can probably have it. You could probably have love. It just depends on what your personality and shit and making sure that you're the type of person that's capable of this kind of thing, which some people have a lot of things to work through. You know, it happens. But, fuck is this droid sitting next to Sargon? Oh, no. This is just Milk Boy. It's just Milk Boy.
They are not measurable, not quantifiable, they're not material, but they are real and they're an important aspect of
so
the human
weird,
life.
man.
And this has been denied to these women by intersectionality's focus on pure power relations.
Yeah, and if you don't want love or sex, if you're ace and aro, that's fine too. However your life organizes is 100% fine. It doesn't matter. Whatever makes you most content or most happy is the ideal way you should live. That's it. And that's like really the whole point behind leftism at all is to try to get people more likely to be able to follow what makes them happy. That's like really the point. TT Grasshopper, thanks for following.
This is what's been done to these young women, right? She says, last week, influential sex podcaster Dan Savage reassured a well-spoken sugar baby who had called his advice show to express worries about her telling her new real boyfriend about her arrangement. Yeah, no kidding, because I bet the boyfriend's going to be like, you do what?
And then he'd be like, I don't care.
Hang on, how's that allowed?
How is what allowed?
What?
I thought that would be part of the rules. It'd be like, you get a sugar baby and then that's yours.
babies. They're so cute. They don't understand stuff. Oh, that's so adorable. These guys don't have any sex whatsoever. Oh, wait, I thought a sugar baby was purchased. And then they're like, oi, mate. Oh, I can't have the fuckies with... I can't do a milk boy. Yeah. Dude. This is a transactional thing. Hang out with me, look good. Sometimes we'll fuck. Do you think the millionaire dudes that bought several sugar babies for his yacht trip is like terribly committed to a single one of them? Maybe they'll catch feelings, but like, let's be real, dude. It's transactional. They understand that this is transactional to some extent. They might hope. Don't get me wrong. Men are very insecure. Okay. Men are incredibly insecure. That's a little trick for you guys. Okay, a lot of people are insecure, but men are the most insecure. Okay, especially cishet men. Trust me. And I'm around a lot of them. And it's not like a bad thing to be insecure. It's just a thing you have to address and understand and figure out, right? What are my insecurities? How do I address them? How could I do this in a healthy way, etc., etc. This milk boy shit that he just said. Oi, can I have the fuckies? Oi, mate. Like, he doesn't understand anything. Like, does he have any relationships? It's just so strange.
Kind of thing.
No, you're basically renting them for a period of time, like a prostitute.
Oh, well, that's even worse. Okay, I thought it'd be like, hire a girlfriend.
This is what
hire a
feminism has done to
girlfriend.
Generation Z women.
What is the difference between that and prostitution, then?
Wait, he thinks that Zoomers are the ones doing this? Zoomers are just now entering adulthood, dude. Like, what? like, it's not every Zoomer is doing this. There's a lot of millennials, man. It's pretty weird.
Nothing. It's just the class of it. Like, this is a higher class of prostitute that spends longer with the punter. Right? But anyway, so she's worried about telling her new real boyfriend about this because her boyfriend's going to be like, you what? You're a high-class hooker? Yeah, I'm worried that he's not going to like that.
Yeah.
Weird, isn't it? Anyway, she says, I think all relationships are transactional. We all pay for it. We don't always pay for it with money. We pay with time, affection, diligence, intimacy, care, but if we don't pay in the end. And the thing is, in a sense, this is true, but it's also very much a thinning out of what a relationship is. Into just a very, very narrow view of what it is to love someone. And in fact...
I mean, you can look at it as transactional. I think to some extent that's true. You pay for it in affection, diligence, intimacy, care, and if we don't pay in the... I mean, that's kind of how relationships work, I guess, in some sort of transactional sense. But I wouldn't say it's one-to-one, and I don't think people keep tallies in good relationships. I think what it is, what relationships really are, and I would disagree with the framing of a transactional relationship. I would say that relationships are more about comfort, like a good relationship. If you are comfortable just in your home together, that's the relationship, right? Like, I need to be comfortable at all times. There can be other stuff, like obviously I do stuff for you, you do stuff for me. It's symbiotic. It's not necessarily like two entities. The relationship is fed by two people, but you're not feeding it back and forth. The relationship is something you both cultivate together, in my opinion. I don't think it's like I pay you in this and you pay me in that. I think we both feed into like the shared experience. That makes sense. In whatever way you want to address that, but I think that's a little reductive. But I think this person's young, right? So...
This is what we were talking about in the Thick Concepts video that we did. So if you can flip onto that, John, show people what... So on the website, we've got this Thick Concepts podcast where I go through how concepts, like moral concepts, are many-layered. There are many different layers to the things, and they intersect, dare I say, with lots of other aspects of your life. And this is something that is deeply important to understand, that some words mean multiple things at one time. And
this is literally them just pimping their premium content.
And these all have real
this is an ad.
Consequences to how you view the world. But anyway, if we return to the article, who has hollowed out these emotional capacities? Well, the answer is, of course, feminists. She says, in the
answer is, of course,
70s and 80s, feminist sociology focused on the extra emotional labour women had to do at work, or often on top of full-time jobs at home. In a twisted reinterpretation of that sociology...
It's interesting that he's not using the examples that are listed there. So I will. In the 70s and 80s, feminist sociology focused on the extra emotional labor women had to do at work as constantly cheerful flight attendants, for instance, or often top of full-time jobs at home as the family glue and domestic drudge. These are important things to add to that, like as examples of those two. Like, I don't know, it's pretty. He does this kind of thing.
Nowadays, quote, women my age see all relationships as sexual labor, says Molly. Why not get paid for it? Hence the widespread acceptance of OnlyFans. If it's all just sexual labor,
what's wrong with
you're not getting anything emotional out of this. If this isn't about creating a firmer bond with your husband or partner, and if this isn't for your own pleasure as well, and I see a lot of this going around, there's women on social media going, well, I've never had an orgasm. A man's never made me an orgasm. So yeah, why would he? He's got no investment in you.
Does Carl think that investment in women is why they can't get women off? I don't think Carl has been giving many orgasms either. A big part of that is that a lot of dudes think that their dick is enough. It's often not enough. It can be. It's often not. All right? Something else might need to occur. Foreplay would be great. Mouth stuff would be great. Toys would be great. Like, let's work some other shit in. Maybe some affirmation. Maybe understand the kinks of your partner, stuff like that. I don't know. But, like, there's lots of ways to make somebody get off. I don't know that Carl knows any of them. It's pretty weird. Put $10,000 on good sex. Why is my investment not getting you off? True. Hey, if you guys want to pay me $10,000 to fuck, I mean, I'm not going to say no. Probably. Maybe. Depends. This really just proves he's probably never made a woman come. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you said it weird, but yeah. C-U-M is how we spell cum around here, okay? Ambiguous Samus. Thanks to the 18 months. Thanks to the quartet, you're welcome. Why would that, like, it's just so interesting.
You just
ain't the size of the stick, it's the usage. Well, yeah, I think it has to do with stamina. It has to do with understanding your partner's body and emotions and what they like, and, like, you know, even when you're good at it, you cannot do a good job for a little bit. Like, I don't know. It's just about trying to make sure that you're an attentive person. Your dick can be enough. You just need more PIV, but most guys only last 5 minutes. They can usually go for 20 if they try hard. Well. You don't need... There's a problem with dudes, okay? Dudes think that they can just stuff it in and then everything is going to be good and then that's it, okay? That is not how it works. You can get people off with your ding-dong, obviously. I mean, it happens. It's not like the most rare thing in the world. I'm just saying, like, it's not enough all the time. It isn't. The clitoris is a thing. Like, it exists. There's also other erogenous zones. You guys should read books on female orgasms.
See him as a transaction. He just sees you as a wet hole. He doesn't care about you. You know, but if a man did care about you, he would spend the extra time to make sure you got off as well.
No, it's not against guidelines.
You know, this is what happens when the magic of the love of a relationship is hollowed out by insexual, power-focused feminists and imbued and indoctrinated into a younger generation. They don't even understand there was something there that has been taken away from them.
It's so
That's
weird.
What's really sad about this. So, and it's not like men aren't trained to see the relationships this way as well. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, the men are just literally like, don't care. You know, but anyway.
These are specifically for millionaire yacht guys. Like, what are we talking about?
The problem here is they kind of view themselves and relationships in a kind of meta sense, right? They look at them as sort of like sort of second order concerns, as in, yeah, this is what I'm doing, but I'm not really in it while I'm doing it. I'm detached from that. I'm looking at the relations between the things. Like, yeah, but step into it. Don't worry about what's going on over there. Step into it and live it, you know, as if you're at the front of the roller coaster rather than at the back of the roller coaster.
Does Milk Boy want to engage in this conversation, or is he just so... He actually seems uncomfortable. I wonder if... And this is not me being mean at this point. the amount of interaction that we're not getting from Milk Boy really screams to me that he is uncomfortable with this conversation, and that maybe he shouldn't have been involved in this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that he has a lot of experience. I mean, attaching yourself to Sargon certainly can't help with your sexual prospects, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. He seems incredibly uncomfortable, and now it's starting to make me uncomfortable. So.
You don't know. It doesn't matter how the person in front of you is reacting. How are you reacting? How are you enjoying it? Live it for the love of God. But anyway, so she points out that Twitter is full of women who think men should pay a deposit before they go on a date with them. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? You view men as just a financial interaction. Why shouldn't these men be like, well, this is just financial interaction then? How could they think anything else? Arya put it more scathingly still. Men have a dearth of people they can share their feelings with. Thanks a lot, toxic masculinity. Nonsense. Don't take a feminist's advice on what men think.
I have never encountered this kind of person, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Anyway, Arya doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. But
I don't know what you are talking about. This is not like this person's like group of people that does this like high end escort millionaire yacht club thing, sugar daddies thing. Maybe they have this, and they're talking about like men with money to give 500. Like, does Milk Boy even have $500 to spend on this kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like this is a specific microcosm of this specific community. It's not even like it's not leftists that talk like this ever. Pretty weird.
She says, so if I'm performing all this emotional labor, I have to listen to a man complain for an hour, I should get $500. So this blithering feminist nonsense has destroyed young people's relationships. If everyone is a mercenary, nothing is worthy of self-sacrifice. Nothing is noble. The mercenary is incapable of nobility.
Why is he doing some sort of Arthurian breakdown of modern sex work? Like what? Did you know that like nobility, the nobles throughout history had prostitutes? It's very strange.
Can you imagine having it's not. There is no concept of romantic relationship even around that. But imagine being with your girlfriend or whatever, or your boyfriend, right? And just after an hour, they're complaining, "Money, please." That's not a relationship.
No,
Nothing
not even slightly.
Right. That's correct. It is not a relationship if you take your sugar baby onto a fuck boat. That's. Yep. Concubines. There you go. Who wants to be my concubine, chat? We're gonna have a harem. Love how he's glorifying self-sacrifice as if the rich haven't told people to glorify it just to serve their enemies. True.
Sex work has been transformed, or rather wishfully squeezed, into the same category as any form of work. At the same time, all relationships have been reduced to a form of sex work. To complete the bitter triangulation, these developments are seen as compatible with empowered young womanhood. Lay, 24, another brainy American sugar baby who messaged me on Instagram from wherever, speaks the language of ambition. We want that financial security while we go after our goals. Everyone sells their body. Construction workers sell their bodies. What's different? Well, what is different? There's two things.
Okay,
One,
what's the difference?
honor.
Honor? Did this motherfucker use the word honor? More volunteering. Thank you. Honor. Incredible. Okay, what's the next thing, Sargon?
It's honorable to be a construction worker. It's not
Is it?
dishonorable. But if you're a purely materialist person and everything is just a financial transaction, what does that mean to you? Nothing. There's nothing sacred about this. There's nothing romantic, enduring. There's no specialness. And that was the thing. Like, a relationship that you have with someone else is not a relationship you can have with anyone else.
What?
You will only ever get that relationship once. It's unique. It's special. And all of this has been destroyed by feminist materialism.
I also have to ask, what goals?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question, isn't it? What goals do you have in your life? Well,
What goal? I do that. Thanks for the follow. The goal is clearly to make money. What?
I don't know, Nobel Prize, maybe?
Just that $500? Is that it?
Yeah.
Like, what's she gonna spend the money on? Just
We want that financial security while we go after our goals. Our goals. Education. Could be investing in a business. Could be lots of stuff. Like what?
Some clothes, and then
Yeah. I'm just thinking of, is it the Quebecois family song? It's like your grandmother had 16 children or whatever, and you have none. And sometimes you wake thinking of a table surrounded by children.
Yeah, your great-grandmother had 16 children. Your grandmother had 8. Your mother had 2, and you've had none. You have 12 abortions, and you sit around your table crying at night. And it's like,
Stuff like that. It's
Why are they doing this Stefan Molyneux? Oh, her eggs are drying up. Talk right now. Like what? Some people don't want kids, bro. And do you know what a big reason people don't want kids is? Capitalism. A lot of people can't afford to have kids that would have a quality of life that they would be proud to provide for a child. Like, if I thought that healthcare, like the pandemic is also another one. If healthcare, education, just those two things. If healthcare was universal and education was universal, I would be more prone to have children. Now, I don't want children, but I'd be more prone to be for it because that's something I stack in the con pile. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. There's lots of people. There's lots of people that don't have kids specifically for economic reasons, not for, I don't know, whatever he thinks this is, psycho-feminists or something.
This is just awful, and that's all I can think of when I'm reading this. But she says it's no coincidence that sugaring has flourished since the Me Too movement, because basically the Me Too movement has ruined everything.
Because the Me Too movement has ruined everything. It's just ruined everything. I can't even enjoy a loaf of freshly baked homemade bread anymore because of the Me Too movement. R. Kelly's in prison. I can't listen to Remix to Ignition because of the Me Too movement. I can't watch syndicated Cosby Show because Bill Cosby sort of went to prison for a second. Can't do it. Ruined everything. I can't watch anything by the Weinstein Company anymore. It's fucking terrible. Who else got Me Too'd? Carl, are you self-reporting? Carl.
The discourse of Me Too pitches heterosexual sex as a barbed
Sexual sex.
power play in which young women must aggressively have or be had. Intimacy no longer comes naturally. Boundaries had to be erected and policed, and the status of sexual consent constantly monitored.
The status of sexually consent constantly monitored. I love that we're like really upsetty about the status of sexual consent not being like, oh well, sometimes the consent isn't given, but we still want to do it, and that's bad because I can't anymore. Like what? Consent's important, chat.
Against this backdrop, sugar relationships offer something more tranquil and easy to control. Something that photographer Alicia Nicole Downing says is much easier to navigate and manage because I'm not emotionally attached. I feel whole and like my needs are being met.
Sure.
I feel whole because I'm not emotionally attached. Who did this to you? Who took that away from you? If you feel whole because literally half of your life is gone and all that's been met is your material one.
Half of your life is gone. They're 24 years old. What?
You have been deprived of more than half of the human experience. Like it used to be that people were emotionally attached to each other, and so being poor didn't matter. Like it didn't matter if you were poor and you had nothing to do because you had each other. But you're incapable of forming emotional attachments. So you don't even see that emotional attachments are important now.
So now he's saying it's better to be poor with a partner than it is to be well off under capitalism with multiple partners. Or at least multiple transactional sexual partners. Huh. Then why advocate for capitalism? If you're so worried about this, if this is like the big thing that you're worried about, Sargon, then I really genuinely think you should stop incentivizing the behavior via your advocacy for capitalism. Because it is what it is. If you commodify fucking everything, then people will purchase it and seek to sell it. That's what commodity does. I don't really understand. Or are women after 40 dead? I don't know. There's a whole this subgroup of dudes thinks that like you lose your sexual peak as a woman after you're like fucking 20 or something, which is wild to me. I'm not attracted to 20-year-olds most of the time. They're too young. They look like babies to me now. Like when I was 20, I was like, wow, I can't believe someone would want to fuck someone that's 35. And now I'm in my 30s, and I'm like, why would someone want to fuck somebody that's 20? That's weird. Like very rarely is someone even like is even like emotionally mature enough to come across as not 20 and they are 20. You know what I mean? Like pretty wild stuff. It's legal, but is it nice? Is it good? Probably not. It's probably not. It could be. Don't get me wrong. Sorry, 20-year-olds out there if I've offended you. But you know, women in their 30s are husbands. Dude, I don't know. I like imperfection and sort of a and obviously just like the mindset of somebody that is you know, not super young. like I don't know how you could like. Was it the porn guys? The guys that do porn all the time? They're like, oh, barely 18. It's like, I had sex in high school. It's better as an adult, you know. You just know more stuff. You're just better at stuff. Just tossing that out there. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that shit. They think the older women can't be dating her because yes, they do. They do think that older women are just past their prime. But interestingly, Sargon would argue that he is kind of at his own sexual prime or very close to it due to his financial success, right? Which is how people in these spheres sort of dictate the sexual marketplace, as it were. This is very Petersonian. Where's he at? Where'd he go? Jordan. We also have Jordan Peterson. So we have Jordan here that is like, hey, yeah, you have to be the top lobster. Oh, and then he cries and shit. But part of being a top lobster and part of being competitive in the male sexual marketplace is financial success. And now he's denigrating the people using that financial success to achieve their peak masculine sexual desires. It's very weird. And you notice how he's only mad at the women who take part in this. He hasn't yelled at any of the millionaire yacht boys for purchasing it. Interesting.
Oh, this is disgusting, what has been done to these young women.
See? Only the women.
But
it's not disgusting that the men participate in it. It's not disgusting that the men incentivize and create the behavior. Did you know that if the men involved in this situation didn't have the money and spend it on this, it wouldn't occur? And yet, under capitalism, where you incentivize the maximizing of capital, someone who is young and in school getting paid way more to fuck an old guy on a yacht than they ever did to work at fucking, I don't know, the mall. You think that a more wise financial situation for them would be not to travel the world on a yacht and experience opulence while sometimes slapping around an old guy's balls? Like, what? If I tell you what, in my 20s, if some old lady, like 50-year-old lady was like, I will give you $10,000 a month to fuck me brainless, I'd 100%. There's like nothing that could talk me out of that. If my girlfriend at the time was like, no, don't do that, I'd be like, I'm doing it. Sorry. Sorry about it. It's $10,000. That's $120,000 a year to fuck on a yacht. Why wouldn't you do that? That sounds dope. A lot better now than I did in 20. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. It's a full-time job. You're damn right. I just want to say, as a WOM who's only 20, I slept with guys 18 through 35, and sadly, they men all equally act like virgins and are shit. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Yeah. Tinder's a bad survey of men. Well, yeah, Tinder's a bad survey of men. Yeah. Take a break and focus on my mental health afterwards. There you go. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Just because a man is 35 years old does not mean that he is necessarily good at the fuck. Okay? Certainly, I don't think I haven't met many people that have been like, yeah, my Tinder experience really, really great. Well, dudes might, but I mean, like ladies, haven't really heard that, because, you know, men are not the most attentive creatures. It's okay. One of us is.
Will be remotely managed by the social police of political correctness. So I guess that's one fear put to rest. Anyway, so however lucrative, helpful, or easy the apparently empowered lifestyle is, life as a sugar baby
Jakewood Tree is right.
erodes a woman's sense of self. But if the women are losing something wholesome, the men seem to be gaining, even gobbling it. I don't know if I agree with that. But anyway, after all...
They haven't mentioned male sex workers at all? Well, yeah, but they have agency and women don't, because women are purchased and they are commodities.
Sugar daddying is about more than renting a hot body. It's also about getting a friendly sex therapist, someone who will listen, even nurture. Sometimes the men just want friends. Arya's political lobbyist prefers office gossip to sex, which fades into the background when they're together, taking up less than 5 minutes of a 3-hour session. So this isn't good for the men either, right? Because they are pouring...
Taking up less than 5 minutes. Bro... I'm sorry. Can we? Okay. 5 minutes is really fast, man. That's a fast. I guess maybe if you like it fast. If you're like, just real quick. I guess. I have a hard time with that. That's 5 minutes. I'd have to be down bad. That's really fast for me. I actually got broken up with. Did I tell you this story already? I know I've told Sarah. I got broken up with once because I had... This is so fucking stupid. It almost comes across as a humble brag, but it's not. It's actually just more of like a fucking bizarre story. I got broken up with once in my early 20s because I, quote, have too much stamina. What? This is weird to me. It's weird. Anyway, that's wild. Jake fucking...
pouring their hearts out to people who do not care at all.
I don't know that I was fucking very good at it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm a sex god. I just wasn't getting off very quickly. I wasn't doing anything special at the time. I'm much better at sex now than I was at that story. So I really want to bring down that version of me was not great at sex. Okay, don't get it wrong. But I mean, like, the dick was there. Got that SSRI stamina? Yeah, but I've never taken SSRIs. That was a problem for her. Yeah, she also didn't like oral, but like getting it. It was weird. Or giving it, I guess. But like, which is not for me. But, because I very much enjoy both. But, yeah. Sex god. 5 minutes is much longer than my average partner. Really? Huh. That seems short to me. I don't know. It's not really easy for me. Like, I require work, okay?
They should be pouring their hearts out to people who love them. Ayala, a versatile star on OnlyFans.
Some people are like that. I go through phases. Like, okay. I'm never gonna turn down someone that is like, "Let me suck your dick." Who I wouldn't. I can't imagine a scenario. But sometimes I definitely do prefer giving it. I don't know. It just depends on the mood I'm in. But I don't know. The trans thing for me, well, that makes sense. Sort of a dysphoric thing when people, yeah, that makes sense. Want to thank you for the advice about the dry brine the other night. Well, this is a very different topic, but yes, dry brining is delicious. Yeah. Dry brining is actually the only way to do chicken. Wet brining actually doesn't really work. Unless you're doing like a whole bird, then it does work a little bit better. But yeah. After surgery, PTO because of the past attempts of trauma down there hurts like a mofo. Damn, that sucks. I guess there are other ways to do stuff. Snowstorm, but yeah, that sounds like a rough one. Sorry, I was off topic. Nah, it's cool.
Hans has described some of her relationships with clients in strikingly therapeutic terms.
Never understood why guys stop having sex after they cum. I used to think people kept on doing it because that's what I did. So I've done both. Obviously refractory period is different. It just depends on how stimulated I am in that scenario, because sometimes even being really stimulated, like recently there was I just had to take like a 5. I just had to take a 5, because I just I kind of went numb like I couldn't really feel it very well because it was, again, it takes a bit of work, and so like I kind of had to wait and get had the sensitivity go down for it to go up. I don't know if that makes sense to some people. Anyway, so there's ebbs and flows of this stuff. You do both. Talk about being stimulated. We'll talk about sex because Sargon doesn't know how to do it.
These men desperately want to be valued by women, but the only women they're coming into contact with are women who don't value them at all. Like, if you died, they'd be like, oh dear, I'll take his wallet and leave.
She's so fucking weird.
One man just wanted to cry on her after talking about his life. They apparently held
So what's wrong with that?
each other and sobbed for a while. I imagine he was doing the sobbing. Then we took off our clothes and just had skin-to-skin contact, so we lay entwined, hugging. That was the entire session. He said he didn't have any other outlet like that. From then on, he would hire me about once a month, and I would come and see him, and he would just hold me and cry.
This sounds like so healthy. I mean, that sounds like I don't need that, but for someone who does need to cry and just feel connected to somebody, like, this is like legitimately therapeutic for people. Are they going to be against this and say like, ooh, cringe? You know what I mean? Like, that's actually like a really nice. This is again another in Pinky 69 pie. Thanks for the 100 biddies. This is another reason that I was going to say that at the very beginning of this that I think sex work and specifically like full service sex work should be legalized and decriminalized. There's a therapy to physical contact with somebody else. And what you could do in these scenarios is you could have sex therapy. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're fucking every time, because, I mean, this isn't that. But it is a form of intimacy that some people just need intimacy, and especially men. There is a phenomenon that happens in between. This is from a cishet perspective, but that's kind of how we organize societally anyway. So even if you aren't cishet, it probably applies to you in some way. Most cishet men and most cishet women sort of are taught to socialize sex and relationships differently. Men get validated with physical contact, and women tend to get validated with emotional contact. Now, that's not to say 100% physical, 100% emotional. It just tends to you lean one way or the other. And as men, we are taught kind of that to be accepted and valid and loved and secure, that someone ought to be sexually attracted to us, which is why they get upset when you reject them. You ever get a situation where someone slides into your DMs and they're like, hey, baby, you're hot. And you're like, no. And they're like, fuck it, you're ugly anyway, whore, or something like that. And it's like clearly they were attracted to you. They're just hurt and they're lashing out and they're being dicks. That's kind of why that happens, is because they feel invalidated, they panic, and then and not to say that you're wrong for shutting them down. I'm just saying like, that's what the problem is. And so with a looser sort of less restrictive society around sex and relationships in general, and just romanticism. And yeah, Parker, that's a really great point. It's so hard for men to cry because people say it's weak, so this is really sweet. Exactly. Like, we need to be more comfortable with having emotions. And then women also need to be able to feel safe. And I know I'm putting a lot of this on men. Don't get me wrong. The bulk of it is on men as a group, not as individuals. I mean, obviously individuals it takes, but as a group, a social group, cis-het men specifically, but all men, even the trans ones, we have to sort of work together and re-socialize other men in our spaces, whether they're cis or het or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just the way that we socialize with one another, like you're not being a real man, blah, 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 that kind of shit. We have to understand that, like, and communicate to dudes that, like, it's okay to have insecurities and vulnerabilities and weaknesses. And I am really super grateful personally for my friend group. We are in a fantasy football group. You hear me talk about it sometimes. It's Sunday, so football happened all day today, so our chat's been going crazy. I actually didn't participate much, but we have a really, really non-toxic man group of, like, men. Like, we're dudes that like football and played sports, and we cook ribs and we eat burgers and we work out. Like, one of us is a vegan, and one of us is bi, maybe more. We've talked about gender issues before. We've talked about sexuality issues. We talked about relationships. We talked about crying. And all of this happens regularly. It's sort of under like, we kind of have the in confidence thing, so we don't really talk about it outside of it. But as far as like a broad concept, it's it's a very healthy space, and I'm very, very grateful for my friends because we didn't start there. We grew to that, and I think that's really important. And I've noticed a huge change in the quality of everyone's life for being friends with one another in that. It's actually making me emotional right now, actually. I didn't realize I was going to do that. It's just a really sweet, beautiful thing that I think that is unique to our experience, which is really, really cool. But I mean, like, I feel like if Sargon dropped into that chat just on a whim, if I was like, hey, Sargon, join this chat, I feel like he would be incredibly uncomfortable with the amount of vulnerability shown by fellow men and the amount of like emotional what's the word I'm looking for? Fluency, I think. Emotional fluency. You know what I mean? Like, I actually think it's incredibly important to have this sort of like understanding that like the toxic things that we grew up with, especially men, but women too, like for instance, women are often really flippant with men. And I realize that some of that is a response to trauma and some of that is a response to men being really shitty, and that's fine. But not always, you know what I mean? Sometimes women are just like, men can take it, you know what I mean? And it doesn't help. It feeds back into it. And then it has that same man lash out at the next person, and then it just feeds back into itself. It's like sometimes it's just someone has to stop the process, whether it's a man or a woman in that scenario, or and then it doesn't have to stay cishet. It just applies to everybody, obviously, but like the big problems are in the cishet communities, obviously. So I don't think it's emotional intelligence, though. I want to call it emotional fluency because I think everybody has emotional intelligence. I just don't think we foster it in a like because I can understand the basics of Spanish, you know what I mean? But it's really hard to like dig into Spanish and become fluent in it. And I think that's more appropriate because I don't think anyone is incapable of understanding emotion because we all experience it in a similar way to varying degrees of severity. But we all experience emotion, and I just think the way that we interact with emotion can be very one note. Like we tend to say, like emotions aren't good. I don't want to feel deep emotions, and I'm in that camp only in one scenario, and that is during an argument, like an argument that matters. I do not think that emotions, at least not emotions. I don't think that being emotional during a hard conversation helps anybody. That's like the only time. I would say that understanding your emotions and then conveying them while trying not to let them make the conversation more acidic than it needs to be, I think that's ideal. But other than that, yeah. And not just being flippant towards men, but I think the way that we shame men, I mean, obviously women are shamed constantly, but I don't think we talk about shaming men very often because, again, I said this at the beginning, and it's true. Men are incredibly insecure. We are only validated in a small subgroup of things, masculinity and how much we are masculine, right? And that's pretty much it. And then there's things that are subgroups within masculinity, usually financial success, sexual success, and then like how you look physically. Like your fitness and stuff like that. And so if you don't ping all of those, you feel inadequate, at least in one part. And then and that's just exacerbated by other dudes and other women. Like, it just is. And now that's not all the time, but I mean, it is that. So it can be hard. Like, the MRAs aren't wrong about everything. The way they go about it is wrong. Like, there are some valid criticisms that are like, hey, men need a little bit of a bone here, and that's true because I don't think anybody is like perfect or anybody is like I don't know, not victimized in some way. But obviously, the problem is that men resort to violence more often. So it's a louder reaction negatively, so it gets more it gets more attention. Anyway, let's finish this up.
Sounds like things aren't going great.
Men's liberation greater than men's rights. True.
For those rich men. Reason to be held.
Yeah, definitely LGBT people got to pay attention to this stuff. Absolutely. It just starts with cishet people. Like, if you could fix the cishet community insofar as how they deal with this shit, it fixes everything else too. Because that's like because you're grown up to be assumed to be cishet right now. You know what I'm saying? And so it's almost like a default, which isn't necessarily accurate or right, but it is what it is. We all know that. And so, which is why we even have the LGBT community, because that is, it's already othered. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But yeah. I agree. This applies to everybody, irrespective of your gender or sexuality.
While you cry, sounds like you don't really have much going on in your life you're very happy with, no matter how much money you have. Weird that I have to keep pointing out that money isn't everything and can't make you happy. It's your relationships that make you happy, and this is him desperately trying to.
Ooh, that's really unhealthy.
A facsimile.
It's your relationships that make you happy. Oof.
Of something that would resemble a relationship, while someone who hates him holds him while he cries at her because he's just so desperate for human contact. Some millionaire.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, we are so screwed.
The irony not lost on the girl as well. That this guy's got all the money.
Yeah.
And yet he's miserable.
Unbelievably miserable.
Then why are we advocating for capitalism in the way that you advocate for it? It doesn't make any sense. Clearly, capitalism is harming this situation and is the cause of it. I don't understand how they literally critique capitalism about this, and they're like, yeah, money isn't everything. Then why do we base our fucking economy about it? And why not say that maybe the economy can have aspects of it that aren't tied to commodification? Because they're commodifying sex here. Like, I don't know. Is it based to have government prostitution? Because I think it might be. It's a government job. No, they should be compensated probably per person, maybe. I don't know. But either way, like, however you organize it, like, the commodification of, like, most of life's necessities is, like, the big problem here. I don't know.
Like, the money didn't bring him happiness.
And she's like, okay, if I get the money,
yeah, I'll be happy.
Out like this guy.
Yeah, right, exactly. So anyway, sugar babies repeatedly describe providing the very same service. It seems easy. The babies I spoke to, whose accounts I read, all said the ease was their primary reason for pursuing these arrangements, but in the end the cost is high. Molly felt despair and had a breakdown after her sugar daddy paid off her student debt. She is still struggling with the long-term effects of seeing all relationships with men in terms of sexual quid pro quo. Like Molly, I suspect a generation of sugar babies will eventually discover that money is worth an awful lot, but it's not worth everything. Exactly. What happens to these women when they're old and lonely, when they're unable to form relationships with men, unable to love anyone else, or probably even themselves? Because what is there about herself to love? What do? I'm a prostitute who prostitutes herself to people I hate. Why would I love myself if that was my own opinion of myself, right?
He's so
they're lost
fucking
and alone with
gross.
wasted youth, and they haven't invested in anyone else or themselves or their futures. We are...
How is that not investing in your future? Her fucking student loans were paid off. What? How is that not investing in your future? I have no idea why he thinks that prostitutes can't form loving bonds or relationships with people. It seems like this one particular sex worker is having some sort of identity crisis about, like, all my relationships up until now have been transactional and I'm trying to reconcile that. Cool, go to therapy. You have money for it now because you did the thing. Cool. Like, but that can be worked out. Like, this is just mental health and capitalism smashing into each other. It's weirdly appropriate that we talked about anxiety over poverty prior to this video starting, because like that's kind of what this is. Huh. Maybe don't have a system where people who don't want to do this don't feel like they have to. Smart. That's what I would do.
So screwed. Imagine what the consequences of this are going to be in like 20 or 30 years' time.
2 million, you said?
4 million.
Sorry, 4 million.
In America and Britain alone.
That's a lot
That's a lot
of people.
Of upwardly mobile, intelligent women who have been ruined by feminism.
Ruined.
And that's just the ones who have chosen to do that as well, and have the
Is
ability
this feminism?
to do that, right? So that's the hot ones, basically. Then below that, you're going to have a strata of women who are still feminists, who are still ruined by feminism, but
The
are
ones
just
you
not
see at protests.
exactly, but are just not hot enough to become the sugar babies. And so it's the entire generation of Generation Z women seems
Generation
to have
Z
been
women.
corrupted by intersectionality. Absolutely disgusting.
intersectionality, and that's the end of the video. They're gonna run like an ad here. Okay, so that was a long video, but sorry about that. 23 lobotomies. Thanks for following. I'd say Sargon has an incredibly unhealthy view on sex and relationships and everything. He's not a smart guy, dude. Not a smart guy. It's really fascinating and sad, though, right? Like, I just don't understand how having sex for money somehow means that like all women are tainted by this activity. Are not men tainted by the same thing? They participated in it. Like, how can all women be ruined by intersexual feminist ideology of like it's okay to have sex for money, but the men who buy the sex for money are not complicit and the progenitors of the problem? It's just wild to me. Isn't that men's fault then? Just odd. Just super odd. Anyway, that's the end of that video. Pour one out for Milk Boy's lack of physical companionship. Sorry, bro.